Eyes, a Creepy Conceptions original. Artwork by Kanarushi.
I can't believe I'm sharing this. I'm going crazy here. But it doesn't matter. All these secretive agencies, they really don't come after people who whistleblow. They don't have a reason to because nobody ever believes them. I'm pretty sure no one will believe me. My name is Elliot O'Brien, and 12 months ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. The pandemic couldn't have hit at a worse time for me. A Lyft driver with a 6-month pregnant wife, and suddenly, the amount of people needing transportation anywhere plummets to the floor. I had made good money as a Lyft driver in a big but spread out city with a severe lack of adequate public transportation. Enough to have clothes on our first house at the age of 25. The months that followed were spent renovating and baby-proofing, and days spent off work to accompany my wife to her appointments and then take her to lunch after. I wasn't as worried. We had money saved up, and I made my own schedule. I wasn't working as much. And then COVID hit, and my ability to make money nearly vanished. It wouldn't be long until it all ran out. I couldn't see another option. I took the quickest secure job that I found advertised at the top of ZipRecruiter. I enlisted in the United States Army. I'm a pretty fit guy. I participated in Spartan races and was pretty fit in general. I tested into a few jobs, but the quickest one? Infantry. I studied, got a 90 on the ASVAB, and I was in. I was barely 2 weeks into basic when I was approached about an opportunity I thought I couldn't afford to turn down. And honestly, the stress of our financial situation made life in the bedroom less interesting for my wife. So I was hoping the sexiness of the Special Forces job would make her proud to call me her man. It also provided a quicker path to E4, one that would come with a raise. I thought I was going to be shipped to Fort Bragg immediately after Fort Benning. That's where the Special Forces training happens. Instead, I was placed into a squad and shipped away more literally than I thought I would be onto a smallish seaborne vessel in the Pacific in the Navy's Research and Development Department. It was based out of Quantico, Virginia, and had no ties to either Mercy or Comfort, the two major hospital ships. It was on this ship that everything was revealed to us about the experiment. You see, studies in the past few decades had shown that the brain doesn't come hardwired to understand signals from the outside world. Instead, it adapts and learns. You plug a device into it, and it eventually learns to translate those signals into something meaningful. Prosthetic ears and eyes are not coded in a way that the brain understands, but the brain learns to interpret those signals just as if they were given with cones and rods in the retina. And that brings us to the special part of our Special Forces unit. We were given an augmentation for our eyes, the ability to see infrared. It was a simple operation that attached itself to the thalamus? I don't remember. Anyways, it definitely didn't make sense at first. It was like there were blobs of meaningless nothing every time I opened my eyes, obscuring my normal vision. Like, when you close your eyes and you rub them and there's like that film? Yeah. And then they put us in complete darkness for 8 hours a day, and if we needed something, like food or to use the bathroom, we needed to learn to see in the dark. And we did so much faster than I could have ever imagined. Within a week, my new vision had fully integrated with the old, and life found a new normal. I actually thought it was pretty awesome. What followed was a battery of tests, and we all passed them with flying colors. But we never made it to Fort Bragg. We were halfway into week 3 when the first guy asked the question that I didn't know would make my reality shatter in ways I never thought possible.
Do you see them?
He whispered in the darkened room where we ate all of our meals. But to us, it was no longer dark. It was bright as ever. I could see the breath coming out of his mouth. I couldn't see my own breath, though.
See what?
Another guy said.
Them.
I saw them 2 days later. They were, shadows. Absences of heat, but it couldn't really be felt. At least I didn't think so. Shadows that were made more obvious under the sun, that started taking humanoid shapes. At first, they just walked by randomly, wisps of darkened shapes that didn't affect and were unaffected by us. I thought that maybe it was from another dimension or another time. We told the scientists, who were deeply intrigued. Then, one day, the first guy started acting very paranoid. They saw me, they're looking at me, they hate me. And like clockwork, the same thing happened to me 2 days later. The figures were very solid now, completely obscuring anything behind it. They looked human. I was sitting on the deck in the early evening watching them go by until one of them stopped in its tracks and looked at me. It saw me. For reasons I can't explain, my heart dropped to my feet. I was terrified. Within a few days, the first guy was babbling incoherently. He eventually gouged out his own eyes, and the rest of us were closely watched. I held on. I couldn't give in to the fear. I just couldn't. I didn't miss my daughter's birth for this. I didn't miss her first steps for this. She doesn't recognize her own father. I've held her twice, and she cried. She's uninterested during video calls, which are limited due to the secrecy of the operation. I didn't do this to fail. I have to hold on. I have to be a husband to my wife and a father to my little girl. But they crowd around me now, staring, reaching forward, inspecting me. They ignore the non-seeing ones, but they crowd around me, the last man standing. I am having panic attacks. I'm afraid to sleep. They watch me in my bed. They watch and stare. I can't feel them. They can't feel me. That's a solace I cling to, or at least it was until one of the scientists asked me if I had felt them touch me. He told me to tell him once I do.
Once I do?
I asked.
If you do.
He clarified. But the damage had been done. Someone had felt a touch. I was now isolated from the others, but someone had been touched. There was something that was breached that wasn't supposed to be breached. We opened the gateway to something awful. They are starting to see the non-seeing ones, following them as they walk around, studying them with curiosity, malice, and contempt. They see us all now. I haven't told anyone. Maybe they only see this one ship. Maybe the rest of the world will be safe if no one knows. If we all just die here alone, then my wife and daughter will be safe. That's all I care about. This is Corporal O'Brien. Please, tell my wife and daughter that I love her more than life and sanity itself, and that I'm sorry for everything. I can't let them discover the rest of the world. I'm not sure how I'll do it yet, but this is going to start and end here.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this creepy conception of mine. Please remember to like if you like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would love to know what my listeners are thinking. If you would like to submit a prompt request, you can email me at stories@creepyconceptions.com. I do create my own background music, which is free to use as long as you give me credit. If you would like to commission amazing artwork from the brilliant Kanarushi, you can email her at commissions@kanarushistudios.com. Thank you once again for joining us, and as always, stay creepy, my lovelies.